Hey everybody, Marty Mazur. Good afternoon, December 1st, 2016. Your video commentary for today. I'm going to really try to keep this one quick. You have the S&P 500 daily chart in front of you. We're going to continue to focus on the S&P because it's a much broader index than the Dow, as the Dow continues to kind of squeak its way further into all-time high territory, largely on the back of industrials and financials. Now, I've got more to say about that in a minute. But for the S&P, simply, everything looks fine from a trend standpoint. The moving averages are moving in the right direction. This trend line that I showed you that the market had to make it through seems to be finding support on that trend line. So, all that short-term stuff would suggest that the technicals look okay. Before I move on, of course, things break down all the time. In fact, I wasn't going to do this, but let me just once again show you the norm. Typically, rallies retrace themselves. So if I just go back to the Brexit low, the latest all-time high, it really hasn't tested any normal levels. Within the historic norm, you go back at some point, you test the 38, the 50, 62% levels. And often more than once, you can see that has happened. If I were to pull this back and look at this rally, right here, you can see that sure enough, that got tested all the way down to the 50% before it came. So folks, we should always anticipate that the market will come back, retrace its steps, in which in this scenario would mean we may not hold that trend line. And again, only short-term stuff to help you keep your perspective. Interesting development though, and that is in terms of the breadth. I talked the other day about how the breadth has been good, and it has, but not so much if you really just zero in on the sector. So what you're looking at here is the technology, S&P Technology ETF, XLK, one that we use. Its performance relative to the S&P 500. So you can see this was a real market-beating part of our portfolios all the way up pretty much until the election. And you can see how badly tech has underperformed the broader market, or at least the S&P, since. I think part of that is rotation. We've had a sector that actually is cyclical and could very well continue to do well in the environment we're in, but there's definitely been some rotation. I think maybe technology to some degree has been used as a place from which to find funds to buy financials, which have been an underperformer, a laggard for a long, long time. This is our largest target in portfolios, and you can see the absolute huge outperformance of the S&P. So truly, money has been coming out of some areas and into others. So that would be part of the story. Folks, I want to also give you another part of the story, and I think this is very, very important. Technology companies, by and large, are multinational companies, and many of them whose products you use on a daily basis get greater than 50% of their revenue overseas. And while what you're going to hear from the president-elect doesn't speak necessarily directly to that, it does speak to a real protectionist attitude. And this is what I've been suggesting since his campaign, is something that would be quite destructive to markets. So just listen to his comments from today.
And I said to some of the folks, I said, companies are not going to leave the United States anymore without consequence.
So as I've said to many clients, I think I've said it here on the blog, a lot of my clients struggle with this one. But I cannot emphasize enough how utterly destructive the protectionist rhetoric will be. Now, he's talking about carrier jobs in Indiana, and I get that, and I appreciate that. The sentiment, though, that a president can actually get up there and aggressively say to companies that you cannot do your business or your production anywhere in the world you want to do that. So that's going to be scary. And if that is at all the sentiment, or if that's the direction we're going, it's not going to be good, not just for multinational companies, but it's not going to be good for domestic companies either. Now, you might think so. One of the things that you'd have to ask, and this is what good economists do, it's easy to see the benefits to 1,400 folks with Carrier in Indiana, and I absolutely appreciate that. None of us want to see anybody suffer. But one of the things that the president-elect said in this speech as well is that you're going to do great because Americans are going to want to buy Carrier. Well, if they're going to pay up for Carrier because they're not doing the production in the most efficient, most cost-effective manner, what you don't see are the more efficient industries that are actually doing business here in this country. And we are a services dominated country. So more money that we spend on anything, regardless of where it's produced, is going to be less money to spend in other places. So the benefit of one group, generally politicians favor, always comes at the expense of the public at large. If you protect an industry, all you are absolutely doing is you're protecting them against natural competition, which means you're forcing people to pay more than what the world market would demand. And folks, I get it again. I appreciate that we're going to protect jobs here in the U.S., but we're also going to kill jobs in the U.S. if we don't allow for companies to do what's most productive. Now, aside from all that, here's what the president-elect has to say that is very exciting, that I very much sympathize with, and this has a lot to do with the good that we've seen in the U.S. market so far, other than in technology, I should say.
One of the things we're doing to keep them is we're going to be lowering our business tax from 35%, hopefully down to 15%, which would take us from the highest tax nation virtually in the world. This is terrible for business, to one of the lower tax, not the lowest yet, but one of the lower tax. The other thing we're doing is regulations. The regulations are, in fact, if I asked Greg and your folks, you would probably say regulations might be worse for you than even the high taxes. But also, I just want to let all of the other companies know that we're going to do great things for business. There's no reason for them to leave anymore.
So there you have it, folks. The latter being something that the market in certain sectors for sure is very much enjoying. The former, not so much. I'll keep you posted. I'll leave it there for today. Thank you as always for watching and listening, and look for my weekly message in the next day or so. Take care. Bye-bye.